Compared to most Americans, I lost my virginity pretty late. But I got married early. The first time I had sex was it was with my future wife. We were both virgins at the time, and we wasn't really know what we're doing. After completing an act that could possibly pass as intercourse, I felt a very strong urge to make a promise to her. So I said to her, one day I will win a Nobel Prize. And I will become a millionaire. And I will buy a big house so that we can live there happily ever after. As I was saying this, I arched my body over hers, making myself into a big house, protecting her. You might wonder why Nobel Prize? Because back then, China was really, really poor. And for this 19-year-old Chinese guy, the quickest way to make $1 million is to win a Nobel Prize. And then a few months later, the Tiananmen Square student movement broke out. And I was heavily involved with the movement. At some point, I was in a six-day hunger strike in the square. Reaching my girlfriend at the time, she wasn't very political at all, but she went with me to hunger strike for 6 days just so that she could be with me. So at the moment, I was very, very touched, and I know in my heart that she is a keeper. And in 92, I got a scholarship to came to the States to study mathematics in Carnegie Mellon Universities. Before I left the country, we got married. That's my way of saying to her that I'm not going to leave you behind. And 6 months later, she came to join me in the States. And I think for a year and a half, we really bust our butt off, working off campus and on campus, trying to make money, and we saved enough money to send her to study computer science in Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. So every weekend I would drive 6 to 7 hours from Pittsburgh to West Lafayette to pay her a sweet visit. Most of the time when we're together in West Lafayette, we were actually making love on the floor of her apartment, because her bed was kind of squeaky, making a lot of noise. After graduation, she got a job in New York with Bell Atlantic, and I got a job in Nashville. So, despite the hardship of separation, I think our marriage was good. We're very close, we talk a lot, we're on the phone, talking to each other every day. And there's nothing we don't share. And in every phone call, we always end it with, I love you, honey. I love you too, honey. And then I began to discover some changes in her. The first change I noticed was, like during our daily phone call, she drops the I love you. Then, when I go back to New York to visit her, she no longer snuggle up to me before. She used to just snuggle up to me and just push me over the edge. But she sort of stopped doing that. And she would spend all her time in front of the computers, as if I'm not there. But for me, it's really nothing to worry about. After all, this is a girl who stuck with me during my dangerous time when I was in Tiananmen Square. So there's nothing to worry about. We're just becoming like any other couple who are married for a long time. Nothing to worry about. And then in one Labor Day holiday, she convinced me to visit my good friend in Louisiana instead of going north to visit her in New York. And I agreed. I went to Louisiana. But she disappeared for 3 days, not returning my calls. I got very worried. I got so worried. I called her best friend in New Jersey, trying to find out if she know anything, if she know her whereabouts. And that's where I get the bad news. Her best friend said this to me, Michael, I hate to break this to you, but your wife, she has a lover in Beijing. She met in the internet chat room. And now she's in Beijing. She told me not to tell you, but that's what it is. My whole world has come crashing down on me. Can you believe this? This is a woman of my first love and the woman of my only love. The pain was so excruciating that I feel like my heart was being torn apart, piece by piece. And for 3 days, I was walking on the shoulder of Interstate 65 in Nashville, watching cars whizzing by me. And I was thinking to myself, if I should just step onto the traffic and let it end all my pain. I was so desperate. And at night, I had this nightmare over and over and over. I saw her boarded a wrong plane. I would call out to her, honey, you get on the wrong plane. But she did not turn back. She kept walking down the bridge. And I was prevented by the flight attendant from running after her. And in panic, I woke up, realizing that it was just a dream. And I just cried, and just let tears flow down my face. I felt so helpless. I was grabbing at any straw that could keep me afloat. And one day in a church empty parking lot, I was in pain again, and I saw a stranger actually, and I just grabbed his hand, and I said, it hurts so bad, would you just listen to me? My wife, my only love, left me for another man. It's kind of weird, I say this to a stranger. The stranger is Victor, who later became my best friend. And he just said to me, come to my prayer group. And I follow him. And in his prayer group, he introduced to another guy, Jacob, who also became my best friend later on. They're young men of my age. And they laid their hands on my shoulder and they began to pray for me. And they pray so earnestly, as if they're in pain themselves. And for the first time, I feel like soothed, like my wound was soothed, because I feel like they're like putting ointment on my wound. I feel so comforted that I decided to join their prayer group, and eventually I joined their church. And a few months later, there was a traveling prophet who came to our church, because our church is a charismatic church, so they believe in the gift. So this traveling prophet came to our church, and after service, he told our pastor, there is a person who is very, very wounded in your midst, and God compels me to pray for him. And immediately I was hustled in front of her by Jacob. And she looked like just an ordinary housewife, nothing spectacular about her. But when she opened her mouth, she began to play in tongue, basically a gibberish that I don't understand at all. And then she stopped. She looked into me in the eye and she said, God speaks to you. Listen carefully. Isaiah chapter 54, verses 10. Though the mountains be shaken and the hills be removed, my unfailing love for you will not be shaken, nor my covenant of peace with you be removed, says the Lord, who has compassion on you. It's actually pretty long, so I have to read it. Afflicted city, lashed by storms and not comforted, I will rebuild you with stones of turquoise, your foundations with lapis lazuli. I will make your battlements of rubies, your gates of sparkling jewels, and all your walls of precious stone. All your children will be taught by the Lord, and great will be their peace. Let me tell you, those words have tremendous healing power because they really spoke to my heart. Yes, I'm really shaken and I'm really afflicted. But she's telling me that God loved me personally, and with that, what else should I don't really care about anything else. And especially the last verse really comforted me. The last verse is, all your children will be taught by God, and great will be their peace. And I see that as a promise by God that I will love again, and I will have children. That was almost 15 years ago. And now, it's not a shame to tell you that I'm a millionaire. I live in a big house. I'm also married again with 2 beautiful children. Thank you.